Okay, so we are starting 9.5, which is completing the square. We're going to do this over 3 days. So this first day, and then you'll work, and then you'll do another day and then work. So it'll actually be 6 days because you're going to do 3 lessons and then 3 work days. So this is going to be day 1. And completing the square is Miss Holstad's favorite thing when it comes to quadratics. So she really is always like the more excited one when we're in class on this topic. I like this. However, I like the other methods of solving a little bit better. This is more of a visual one though for people that like visual. So critique and explain. Look at these two methods here and see if they both are correct, if they both work, and explain your reasoning. So go ahead and pause it and take a look at that. Okay, so if you look at it, yes, there are 2 different ways. They come up with the same solutions. They are both mathematically correct. Whatever you wrote there is perfectly fine. A perfect square trinomial is the next thing we're going to look at, and that is just a trinomial. Oh, okay, let's try this again. That if you take a binomial, so like x plus 2, and you times it by itself, so square it. So x plus 2 times x plus 2. These are a perfect square, and it turns into a perfect square trinomial when you multiply it. So if you FOIL it, or you did the box method, you would get x squared plus 4x plus 4. So basically, if you're taking x plus any number, squaring it, that's the same as x plus a number times x plus a number. And when you FOIL it, you're going to have x squared plus 2 times that number plus that number squared. Okay. So what value of c makes this here a perfect square trinomial? So there's a visual way of doing it, and you can watch the video that's down below if you want to see a visual way that Ms. Holstad has found and she really likes. A mathematical way to do it is just saying, well, if it's 2 times the a here, finding a, I can do this number here, this b value, taking 6 divide by 2, and then square it. So 6 divided by 2 is 3, and then square it would give you 9. So c is 9. And so if we look at it, it would be x squared plus 6x plus 9. And if we wanted to factor it, then it would be x plus 3 squared. So go ahead and take a minute and try and do these two, find what the c value is, and then if you're able to do that, try and push yourself and see what it would look like factored. So again, this was just a factored form. And this was standard perfect trinomial. And remember, it's a times x squared plus b times x plus c. Okay. So we took our b divided by 2 and squared it. So try these two. So here's the first one. I did b, 12, divided by 2, which is 6, and then I squared it, 36. So c is 36. Factored form would be x plus 6, because that's what would multiply to 36 and add to 12. Doing the next one. Okay, 8 divided by 2 squared 16. So that's the standard form, and factored form would be x plus 4 squared. Take a minute, see if you can find a pattern from here, 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 anything you notice by looking at from standard to factored form and how it relates to what we just did. Okay, so if you kind of looked, the 9, so this divided by 2 squared was the C value. And then there's also another pattern that is the number inside, so just the number divided by 2 before you square it is what's here. Ooh, that's really bad. But underlined underneath. So the positive 3 became what was inside the factored. Positive 6, positive 6, positive 4, positive 4. Okay, and if you don't notice that, that's okay. You can do the steps of factoring it. This is just like a quick way to see what's going to be inside when we start doing complete the square, which we are going to go ahead and start right now. And if you have any questions, please, please, please email Ms. Holstad and I. I do recommend watching that video that Ms. Holstad found and is underneath this video as well, because it's super helpful in seeing why complete the square works and how it works, and just a really good visual. Okay, so now we are going to use 4 little steps here and complete the square in order to solve this. So we are actually going to solve it, which means we're solving for x or finding the zeros or the x-intercepts. So the very first step is we're going to write the equation in the form of this here. So we're going to take and only have x squared plus bx on one side, and everything else is going to be on the other side. So I'm just going to rewrite this over here just so we can see it over here. Sorry. So right now it's set up equal to 0. We need just the x squared and the minus 14x on this side, so we need to get rid of the 16 by subtracting 16 on both sides. So we now have x squared minus 14x, and I'm going to leave a blank space here, and I'll tell you why in a minute, equals 0 minus 16 is negative 16. So we're now in this form here, and then it says to take b divided by 2 squared and add that to both sides. So b is negative 14, so I would do negative 14 divided by 2, and that's negative 7, and then square it, and that's positive 49. So here is why I left the space, because I have to add 49 to both sides. So I'm going to write it in right here. So this 49 was added here and here. We added it to both sides because it's an equation, so we need to keep it balanced. Whatever we do to one side needs to be done on the other side as well. Okay, so that's that step. And now we're going to do step 3, which is write the trinomial as a binomial squared. So we want it in factored form on this left side. So we said the pattern was we take this number right here, and that's what goes inside. So minus 7 squared. And then go ahead and combine these. So negative 16 plus 49, which gives us 33. So that's writing the trinomial as a binomial squared, meaning a perfect square here. So if you don't see this pattern or don't understand it, you can also think, okay, what multiplies to 49 and adds to negative 14, and go through that factoring process as well. Okay, and then the very last step here is solving for x. So we're going to solve for x. So we're first going to square root both sides. So square root, and that leaves us with x minus 7 equals plus or minus the square root of 33. And then we're going to add or subtract depending on what we have here to get x by itself. So here we have a minus 7, so we're going to add 7 on both sides. So now we have x equals 7 plus or minus the square root of 33. If it says exact value, this is good enough. That's done. If it makes you round, you're gonna put in your calculator 7 plus square root of 33 and 7 minus the square root of 33. Okay, so 7 plus would give us x equals 12.7, and minus would give us x equals 1.3. So if you have to round, that would be your answer. If it's exact value, this would be your answer. And you can also write it as x equals 7 plus square root 33 and 7 minus square root 33. Go ahead and pause and try the next two. Okay, so here we, step 1, get it in this form here. So add 9 to both sides. Step 2, do the b, divide by 2 squared, which is in red here. So b is 10, divide by 2, 5 squared, 25. Step 3, write in the square. So x plus 5. Again, we got that 5 from here or from factoring. And then square root both sides, subtract 5 on both sides, and I'm going to leave the answer like this. You can also put it into your calculator if it says to round. Moving on to the next one. Again, if you have any questions though, email Ms. Holstad and I. We are happy to help you. Okay, so step 1, getting it in this format, so adding 6 to both sides. Step 2, doing the b divide by 2. Here we have a negative 8 divided by 2, so that's a negative 4, and then square it, so we're still adding 16 to both sides. Factored form, again, we are taking this x squared minus 8x plus 16 and factoring it, or we notice the pattern where this here goes right here. Then square root both sides, add 4 to both sides, and then there's our final answer. So for the homework, when you go, I assigned the homework for the entire 3-day thing, so this assignment goes on till next week. However, for today, you are only doing the first 10 problems. So just keep in mind that you're only doing the first 10. You can try doing the other ones, but the other ones are going to have some other skills that I have not gone over yet, because I want you to get this skill, practice it before we move on to the next little piece of completing the square. So if you have any questions, please email Ms. Holstad and I, and we are happy to help you. I hope you all are doing well. We miss you. I really hope that you are finding some positives in this situation, and yeah, we miss you.